we have a special guest today on the Capital Show. He gave us, and he's gonna give us an exclusive interview. He is Ian Raiklin, Secretary of Retribution. How are you today, Ian?
Fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You want to speak in Arabic, or you gonna stick to English as you like.
No, I think my Arabic's a little rusty. أنا ضعيف بالعربي.
Like,
لذلك إنجليزي لو سمحتني.
نعم شو أكيد. طبعا for sure. So tell us about your political vision. You have a hard, fascinating career from military service to political activism. So what drives you to be such a vocal advocate for constitutional principles?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up professionally in the military and then working in government. And as I increased in my stature, I started to see and observe things, and it smelled like corruption. And then it wasn't until in 2017 when the civilian government leadership
Hmm.
weaponized against a general that I respect dearly illegally. That's when I started to dig into details to
Mhm.
determine what that was all about. And since then, I've noticed how the weaponization of our government has continued to escalate. And I don't know,
Yeah,
they what part of ضابط في الوطاسة Mohami did they not understand? Meaning they went after somebody I respect, and as a lawyer and a Green Beret, I felt it was unacceptable to allow the government
you're
to
talking,
continue to conduct corruption. And
you're
so
talking,
now it's
yeah.
time to take them to task and create accountability.
Exactly. You're talking about General Mike Flynn. We all respect him and we want him. He's back, but he's back maybe as an unofficial advisor for the President Trump. Can you tell us about your relationship with President Trump? You are a strong supporter. So over the years, what key policies do you believe will define his leadership during this administration?
So I personally do not have a relationship with President Trump. My relationship is restoring our constitutional principles and the constitutional order. I do have a close relationship with General Flynn. Now, having said that, I think this last election really showed that the American people gave a mandate to President Trump and his cabinet to conduct wholesale deletion of corruption. And that means that there has to be those individuals that were involved in the corruption. Not only do they have to be stopped in terms of what Elon Musk is doing with Doge, but they have to be punished
Mm,
for those crimes.
mm,
And many folks actually were involved in treason. Yesterday, there was just an executive order by President Trump once again declassifying the Crossfire Hurricane documents, which is, I mean, for people that don't understand the details of the weaponization or the corruption in our government
yeah.
during our generation, that started with the weaponization against General Flynn by spying on him, Carter Page, and President Trump. Once we see the story of who was behind that, you will start to see that the same individuals that weaponized against President Trump
Yeah.
attempted to assassinate him,
Yeah.
raided his home. It's the same people.
If you
So,
if he wasn't elected, he could be in jail for life. So this is so dangerous. Are you speaking about the deep state? How does the deep state continue to undermine Trump's policies and the will of the American people? They
oh,
voted.
they Yeah, so I mean, there are different categories of the deep state. A lot of people forget that 51 spies within primarily the CIA were the ones behind saying that the Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. 39 individuals within our government from 2016 to 2017 illegally spied on General Flynn to try to find something on him. They couldn't. So they
Mm,
had to continue the cover up. The
mhm,
2020 election had to be stolen in order for this accountability to not take place.
mm,
January 6th fake surrection or Fed surrection, we call it. It wasn't an insurrection. It was the final cover up for the illegal election. And the reason why they had to steal the election is to cover up for their spying on Trump so
yeah.
that they would not be held to account. So right now, I would say both political party leadership, the establishment is still trying to burrow itself into the administration so that those people are not held to account, both
Yeah,
Republican and Democrat.
yeah, but we can look at the positive side where President Trump he issued the several executive orders this year, including the voter ID requirements and reinstating military personnel discharge over vaccine mandates. Which of those orders do you see is the most important or impactful in your opinion, and why?
I think both are important from different perspectives. So let me start with this is that executive orders can be signed, but if you have people in the system that are supposed to implement those executive orders that are undermining you, then those executive orders will not be implemented. Now,
Mm,
having said that, if you place people that actually want those executive orders to be implemented, for example, within the Department of Defense, there has to be somebody appointed, such as somebody like a Commander Robert Greene that
mm,
wrote the book Defending the Constitution Behind Enemy Lines.
mm.
As it applies to the illegal vaccine mandate, somebody like that needs to lead the effort in implementing those executive orders so that they are done appropriately, so that those not only are people reinstated who shouldn't have been released, but those that actually implemented those illegal policies are face consequences, face punishment, face the accountability that they deserve. And
Mm,
then as it applies to the other executive order,
mm.
the first one you said the mandate, right, and coming folk and having people come back in.
Yeah,
All these executive orders have to be there has to be an individual appointed that has a personal vested interest in its implementation
yeah.
based on them being weaponized
This,
against.
this is
So
this
the
is.
voter ID, right? I
Mhm.
would say, I mean, I have several people that I can think of that should be spearheading that.
Yeah, let me go back to I introduced you as the Secretary of Retribution, and I want to be the devil advocate. So, what do you say to those who claim that you are focusing on revenge rather than policy reform? Is it true? No.
So there are, I mean, let's face it, there are different people that focus on different things, right? So the Secretary of Defense focuses on the defense of the nation, right? The Department of Justice focuses in on prosecution of criminals, right?
Yeah.
Retribution, the definition of retribution, for those that don't know, is the it's basically punishment for crimes committed. So
Mm.
in essence, if the Department of Justice fails to have the necessary political courage to hold people to account, there
Yeah.
must be a mechanism to coordinate the national, state, and local law enforcement entities to encourage their courage so that they hold people to account. Because let's face it,
It's like a
if
backup
if
or like
if
a,
if all you do is say, "Oh, this guy who committed treason, look, this person committed treason, that one committed treason," James Comey, Jim Clapper, John Brennan, all these people, and then what? Great, America knows that they committed treason. And if that's all you do is just say that, look, they committed treason, they will continue to undermine America. They will continue to destroy America
Mhm.
until you stop them. And the only way to stop them is through lawful, physical, kinetic stoppage.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Otherwise, they're going to continue. And
Yeah.
they continued from in the first term. They continued when he was in exile, President Trump, and they are continuing to do so
Mm.
through domestic terrorism by attacking Tesla's dealerships.
Yeah.
So they committed genocide in the form of the remember the vaccines? They called them vaccines.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of people were murdered by the vaccines. This is not my data. This is the CDC's own data on the vaccine adverse events reporting system that says this.
Yeah, you've been outspoken as well about the treatment of military personnel who refused the COVID-19 vaccine. Now that Trump has signed an order to
It
reinstate,
wasn't a, if I may, real quick, it wasn't a refusal of a vaccine. It was not a vaccine. A vaccine is an approved injection.
it wasn't
What
at
was
that time.
forced on people was not approved. It
Mm,
was an emergency use authorized product.
mm,
And these military service members were the ones that actually
mm,
had critical thought.
mm,
They did not want to submit their bodies to a DNA mutilation injection or a myocarditis making heart exploding product.
yeah,
And so they said, no, this is
and
not safe. This is not effective. And we're not going to buy the lying content from FBI, from Facebook, from YouTube, and all these platforms.
We're gonna talk about the FBI, but could the retribution comes after China for spreading this virus? Is there any plan to put China accountable for COVID-19?
Absolutely. So I would argue if I were advising the leadership of our country, China owes America tens of trillions of dollars of economic destruction because of their Wuhan Institute of Virology lab incident.
Yeah.
It's unclear whether or not that lab incident was intentional or accidental. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it was negligent at a minimum, and so China must be held to account. They owe us at this point probably 30 to 40 trillion dollars.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest battles for President Trump regarding the America First movement? What must be done to ensure that his presidency will be implementing what is MAGA movement principles or values?
Yeah, President Trump, I would argue that President Trump needs to reconsider who his attorney general is, because his attorney general has been playing hooky, and she's been spending most of her time as a co-host on Fox News, which is, I like to remind people that Fox News board member is Paul Ryan. And so there's probably the reason why she's on Fox News is to continue to increase their ratings. Meanwhile, do you know of anybody that's been arrested of consequence in her first couple of months in office? At this point in time, the Biden criminal syndicate DOJ and the Democrats in the House and Senate in 2021 had already arrested over 55 individuals that were conducting peaceful, unarmed election justice activities outside and inside of the U.S. Capitol. Pam Bondi is a co-host for Fox News. She's not an attorney general. We need an attorney general.
This is something like in the inner circle that can be discussed. You in your tweets, let's go to your X account. You expressed strong support for whistleblowers exposing governmental misconduct. How do you propose protecting these individuals from retaliation, and what role do they play?
Yeah, to have an attorney general will solve all that. But we don't have one. We have a Fox News co-host that says she's the attorney general.
Who do you think should be in her place, at her place, instead of?
I mean, I can name several names that would do a actual job as an attorney general. Some names would be Sidney Powell, Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton. He knows the issues, and those would be my top two picks. Mike Davis, it seems as though he would be in a better position to actually hold the appropriate individuals to account. I would say, just off the top of my head, those three would do a far superior job.
All right. What do you have on the FBI? And do you think that Kash Patel do the right thing and bring back FBI to be more patriot?
I am a fan of Kash Patel. He knows the issues. He knows what the priorities are based on his, observing him over the last several years, not only in interviews, but also, I spoke on the same stage as him several times. I think it was on the Reawaken tour, and also in his book, Government Gangsters, and then that follow-on documentary movie. So he knows exactly what the deep state is and who it is based on his work with Devin Nunes on the HIPC and then other governmental roles before and since then. The issue again here is that the Department of Justice needs to have an attorney general. And so that's where I think the problem lies at this point.
All right, let's talk about foreign policy. We have a big audience from Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. How do you...
المملكة السعودية العربية.
نعم والإمارات العربية
الإمارات okay
متحدة. So what do you think about the foreign policy decisions made by the current administration? President Trump appreciates a lot MBS, and he's a good and we have an investment here, Saudi investment in billions as well. Sheikh Tahnoun bin Zayed, he was here and he met with President Trump. And how do you see the collaboration between USA and these two main countries in the Middle East? They have stability, prosperity, and they represent the Arabs. I mean, we are proud of these two countries, in fact.
Yeah, so I would say that right now, over the next maybe several weeks, hopefully it'll only take a few weeks and maybe a month or two, as Doge finalizes its audit of the key departments in our government. The focus right now in America is not so much the foreign policy component. It's to form a cabinet that's effective, that's is able to root out the corruption internally. And once that is done, then there can be an effort to really work with our partners throughout the world. As you've seen, I think the key partners right now are, Argentina with Milei and El Salvador, Bukele. In the Middle East, I mean, let's face it, that I believe that the longest standing leader in the Middle East that has been an ally of America is the King of Jordan. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he's been in power. I mean, he's
Yeah.
been in power, I think, since 99 or 2000. So we're looking at a quarter of a century. So
And
those are those long-standing
he
relationships.
can play a key role in solving the problem in Gaza. President Trump ordered attacks on the Houthis. The Houthis are back. They are a proxy of Iran in Yemen. They are back on the FTO list. How do you see the presidency when he take a decision and he go to action immediately? He can prove that he can defend our alliance. So can you say a word in this regard at the end?
So I'm a person of action as well. So you come up with a plan, synchronize everybody that's supposed to be involved in it. Also work with your partners globally to come up with the strategic objective. I wasn't involved in the decision making, obviously, or kind of the thought behind that. But at the end of the day, I would rather have a national security team that acts rather than just speaks. I'm going to go back to the Attorney General. The Attorney General made a statement that she warned one of the members of Congress, rather than warning someone, why don't you just act and do what you're, I guess, threatening to do?
All right.
Just, right?
You're gonna you put me in trouble, Ayan.
No,
Anyway,
I mean, I think at this point, the Attorney General Pam Bondi's in trouble
all
because
right.
of her inaction. She embarrassed herself several weeks ago when she claimed she was going to release the Epstein files. I get it. I mean, if you're in the administration, you're not going to be critical of those in the administration. If you're trying to get into the administration, you're not going to be critical of those senior leaders in the administration. But someone has to call a spade a spade. And I guess I'm going to have to take the heat for that.
Yeah. Thank you, Ayan. Thank you so much for your sharing your perspective.
النمر أبيض الكبير الأصلع النيويوركي أبو كرش سريع. or maybe سمك سريع.
سمك سريع.
لخدمتك.
شكرا لك جزيلا.
شكرا لك.
For your perspective and أهلا وسهلا.
Thank you. أهلا.